So some people last video were asking me where I got this hoodie from, and obviously it's from Speedcube Shop. I also have this Cosmic hoodie that I sometimes wear to competitions, but I think I like this one more. It's just a nicer style. So anyway, there's a link in the description if you're interested. In the last video, we were reaching unprecedented levels of IQ, and if you missed it, this video just might not make sense to you. So if you're not aware, I was given the task of renaming all of the PLLs because their names were just kind of a mess. And of course, no need to thank me, I'm just being nice. But if you want to thank me, you can go to patreon.com/J. Okay, let's just get into part 2. All right, Perm. This one is perfect. Completely no bias here, we don't need to talk about this one. Let's just move on to the next one. Perm. Got you there, didn't I? Did you really think I could just talk about Perm for like 5 seconds there? No, we're gonna move on to the other Perm. So sometimes people ask me, hey, is your channel Perm or is it Perm? And I can't really answer this question unless you know which one's JA or JB. And how I memorize this is J, the one that looks like a J, is the one that if you're right-handed, then that is the better one, typically the faster one for you to execute. And JB is the better one because JB stands for Justin Bieber and he's... Wait. Anyway, JB is the better one, but if you look at the picture, it could be either one. It could be a Perm, you know, it's kind of up to you. Perm's everybody's favorite. This was probably the last PLL that I learned, and probably the last PLL most people learn, besides maybe Perm, because they're just so rare. Perms are really common, but they're hard to learn, so people put that off for last, which makes sense. And I think one of the reasons that this one actually just looks kind of hard to learn, obviously you can tell. I don't see why this is a G, but it couldn't really be any other letter anyway. Like if you just want to talk about circles there, you could call it like O-Perm or something. But O-Perm is actually used in 4x4, and the reason 4x4 can have this is because of PLL parity, so you can get extra different types of PLLs. And I think my favorite for this one actually is if you don't look at the cycles and just look at the block, I like this one being called I-Perm. And because it's just like a little stick right there. Because if you just try to recognize from the block, it's so much easier to know which case it is rather than trying to recognize from the corner and edge cycle. I can't recognize it from the corner and edge cycle. That just completely doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I like this one being called I-Perm. R-Perm. This one also confused me a lot before. I don't really think it looks like anything, but I think what we're going for here is the lowercase r, I guess, because it's just a curve and that's it. So I think we're just gonna have to go with R for this one. So I kind of have a problem with this one. This one is U-Perm. So if you really think this is a U, here's how you would convince yourself. Well, if we curve out those two lines at the bottom and then get rid of the line at the top, then it's a U. So if we just take a step back and you don't get rid of the line at the top, what is that? Yes, that is D-Perm. And I guess it sounds a bit weird because we never hear D-Perm, but it makes so much more sense than a U, doesn't it? It's the same thing as a U, but you keep the line that was already there. All right, V-Perm. I think we could call this one F. Yeah, I'm not making that joke again. Okay, so the shape, it doesn't make a shape, it's just two lines, but I guess it kind of forms the shape of a V. Not really. I think the reason why this is called a V-Perm is because if you look at the unsolved pieces, then that's when it starts to kind of look like a V. So this isn't my favorite line of reasoning, but I don't think there's any letter better for this than V-Perm, so we're just gonna go with a V here. This is pretty good already. All right, Y-Perm. This one is quite obviously a Y. Not that it's like a perfect Y, but it couldn't really be anything else. Well, I guess it could also be a peace symbol, which is, it's not a letter, obviously. Peace perm. Note to self, don't say perm after anything that ends with the S sound. So in the last video, I asked you guys to rename this PLL, and here are the answers that you gave me. In Chinese, it will be 2-Perm. Yeah, so that's 2 in Chinese, but in Chinese, it's pronounced as R, or kind of like R. So Chinese people like me will be really confused. So because we already have an R-Perm, I don't know if that's my favorite answer, but thanks for the insight, Thanos. Australians say Z as well. So a lot of you guys were telling me that it's not just Canada that says Z, but it's a lot of the world that says Z. It's just that the US doesn't say Z. And I think that makes sense. The US tends to have some words that are different, like for example, the word favorite, where they remove the U. And it doesn't really matter, Z or Z, favorite or that favorite. But if you really think about it, the US's version just kind of makes more sense and is easier to use. But let's not even talk about their units. Okay, well now knowing that Australians say Z as well, I'm gonna do my best Jayden McNeill impression. Alright, just gotta get into character. So in the last solve, I got this case. And first of all, I know full PLLS, so I just did PLLS and I knew I was gonna get a corner skip because I'm smart. And then Z Perm. Alright, I hope that was as good as it sounded in my head. Whenever I do impressions of accents, I have to think as I talk and then I forget to breathe, so now I'm all out of breath. Alright, anyway, moving on. Canadian Perm. So weirdly enough, I actually don't know how to do a Canadian accent. So I think this comment has to do with the Z versus Z thing. But then I realized that the PLL actually just looks like a Canadian flag. Do you see it? Okay, so obviously we just first draw a rectangle around it and then just add in all the colors. Dab Perm. It actually makes me pretty disappointed that I decided to draw this. Well, the good thing is if you hit a low point in your life, then there's nowhere to go but up. So let's see what's next. Z Perm. Why would you comment this? And why did you guys like this? So this one about 2 slashes makes an integer when dividing. This is about programming again, but I really want to focus on what the heck is your profile picture. So I looked it up and yes, this is a real animal. This is the banana duck. And so here you can see a banana duck before being peeled. Here we see 4 banana ducks in their natural habitat. And here, oh my god. Hashtag save the banana ducks. I think it's F Perm. So this is the joke I made too many times last video about every bad PLL being F Perm. And Z Perm is not a bad PLL. But when I do like COLL or OLLCP and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna get a U Perm or the other U Perm or an H Perm and this all is gonna be great. But then I get a Z Perm, which is by far the worst one out of all of them. And yeah, in that case, it's kind of like, fuck, Railroad Perm. Oh, of course. This was a bit of a random question, but which is better, F Perm, or F Perm? The fancy S we all drew when we were kids. Ah, now someone's thinking, you mean this one? Childhood was so much of a simpler time. And then of course we have S Perm, S Perm. I couldn't tell if I should take this seriously or actually listen to what you said. Oh yeah, this video is completely serious and credible, and I'm qualified for this job. That's why it's on YouTube. It should be Y Perm, as whenever I get it, I am like... Let me just correct that for you right there. And my favorite response for what to name this PLL? Hashtag Perm. Now this might seem a bit weird, but we already do have 2 lines from the hashtag. We already have an image for it as well. It's quite easy to type, and it's not hard to say. Everyone knows what a hashtag is. And now we have another YouTuber named after a PLL. I'm not alone anymore. But while we're on the topic of weird algorithm names, why is this one officially called Awkward Shape? When I was making my OLL video and I was naming all of them for the timestamps, I had to look for what this was called. I had to call it Awkward because other videos called it Awkward. The Speed Solving Wiki called it Awkward. So my question to you is, what do you think this should be called? And leave it in the comments below. Alright, that's it. See you next time.